y'all want to relax, y'all are more than welcome to. Unless y'all have something on your mind, just had to say. All right, so for this lesson here, if you guys are going to answer the question, which I hope you do, we're going to need you to come to the microphone. You put it in the center because other people can't hear your answers as we go. Okay, now online, you guys we can hear you fine, but the ones that are here, when it's recording, they say they can't hear the answers. And I got a lot of questions today. All right. So everyone see the picture up here, right? The promised land, and to the right, what are these things? We eat them. Yes. Remember we was at Harmageddo. Yeah, remember was at Harmageddo, or as it's commonly called, what? Harmageddo is Armageddon, as it's commonly called, right? Remember we was up there grabbing these and eating them right off the tree. They're really good, really sweet, right? So we're gonna do that again this year sometime, if you all are able to come out there and join me. Okay, so it says why Moshe could not enter the promised land. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then exploring the mental and spiritual aspects of the people and Moses. All right, so we went over a little bit of why he couldn't go into the land. We're going to continue on from last week, moving into this week. But before we do that, we're going to let me get the pen out, and that's fine. I'll do that. All right. So it's a very short Parsha this week, right? As you can see, what's the Hebrew there? For here it says Hanan, right? The root word in there is Hanan. It means to plead, be sought, to show favor. Okay? So that's what this is about. Everyone's asking the Father to show them favor. That must mean you have to do something in order for that to happen. All right, so we're going to read in the English. It says, and I besought, or he pleaded Yahuah at that time, saying, and that's what this one is all about. So we'll read this from the Hebrew here, and you guys know the first part right here, right? Okay, so like Et Hanan El Yahuah, but Et good Hahi Le More. Okay, great. See, this is the shortest one ever on the planet. All right. All right, so here we got, was Moshe accountable for the spies and the judges? And we all would say yes. We went over this last week, where it says in Debariym, or Deuteronomy 135, says, surely there should not one of these men of these evil generations see that good land, which I swore to give unto your fathers, save Caleb and the son who? Yephuneh, right? He shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has trodden upon, and to his children, because he has wholly followed Yahuah. Verse 37 says, Dam, or also Yahuah was angry with me for your sakes, saying, you also shall not go in here. So that whole generation, except for two, was going into the promised land. So when you reread the story from the beginning, you will see that Moses was not talking about hitting the rock, but about the sins of the spies. Okay, we'll see a little bit more of this in just a minute. All right, so here's a comparison between the judges and the spies. Debariym 1:8, now we're doing is going from this side to this side. Okay, this side to this side, this side to this side. Oh, they're going to see it. I'm going to read it. So it says judges on the left, spies on the right. We're going to read the first box where it says Debariym or Deuteronomy 1:8. Then we're going to go to the other box on the other side, which says Debariym chapter 1, verse 21. We're going to follow suit. So it says, behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land. Right? That's what he's telling the judges. Going to the side with the spies. Says, behold, Yahuah Elohim has set the land before you. Go up, possess it, or its inheritance, if you will, and Yahuah Elohim of your fathers has said unto you. So, first thing you see is the land was set before them to inherit in both cases. All right, next one says, and I spoke unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Yahuah Elohim has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of Shamayim, or heaven, for multitude. Yahuah Elohim of your fathers make you 1,000 times so many more as you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife? I mean, how can I do that? Take you wise men in understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. Okay, going over to Debariym 1:22, and it says, and you came near unto me, every one of you, and said, we will send men before us, and they shall search us out the land and bring us word again by what way we must go up, and into what cities we shall come. Now, in this here, Moses requests help, and the people made a request. Okay? Now, is that good or bad? Right. So remember, Yahuah says, go take the land. And Moses saying something a little different, and the people are saying something a little different. All right. Keep that in mind. Verse 114 says, and you answered me and said, this thing which you have spoken is good for us to do. Debariym 1:23 says, and they're saying, it pleased me well, and I took 12 men of you, one of another, right? So again, it was good and pleasing to who? To Moshe. It was pleasing to Moses in both cases. This seems to be good, according to Moses. All right. Debariym 1:15 says, so I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. Where did he get that from? Yeah. Father-in-law. Keep that in mind. Going 123, it says, and they're saying, please me well, and I took 12 men for you, one of the tribe. Verse 17 says, you shall not respect person in judgment, but hear the small as well as the great. Go over to 28, it says, whither shall we go up? Your brother has discouraged our heart, saying the people is greater and taller than we, the cities are great, and the walls up to the heavens of Shamayim. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakim there. So, a couple of things here. One is, here you see the wise men and his representatives are together. Next, you see the small and the great. Okay, and the smaller people versus the greater people. You will see later on, unless you guys understand it now, that he's always been operating underneath the small. He likes the small to make them great. Okay, but we'll see something later on. Anyway, verse 17 says, you shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is Elohim's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And in 29 and 30 it says, then I said unto you, dread not, neither be afraid of them. Yahuah Elohim, which goes before you, he shall fight for you according to all that he did for you in Mitzrayim or Egypt before your eyes. All right, so here, nothing to be afraid of. Yahuah is the judge, and he fights for you. Okay, nothing wrong with that part, right? All right. Understanding the words of Moses. So 131 says, and in the wilderness, where you have seen how that Yahuah Elohim bare, and I want you to keep all this in mind, bear you as a man does bear his son, in all the ways that you went until you came into this place. And what's the example here? What does this mean? here. He bears as a man bears his son. What does that mean? Wow. Yeah. It's called. Oh wow. Okay. How many of us read the Torah portion? Oh, you skipped over that bear part. No problem. Okay, we're gonna work on all of that. So just mind you, we're going to define that in just a minute. 1:9 says, and I spoke unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Yahuah Elohim has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of Shamayim of heaven for multitude. Yahuah Elohim and your fathers make you as 1,000 times so many more as you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burdens and your strife, as we read before? So, was there any problems with this? Okay, no problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. We're going to see, what's going to happen with this here, but we're going to see something dealing with ourselves. So when you think about it, Moshe was acting as a father to the people. He knew that Yahuah bore them as a man bears his son. Why couldn't Moshe or Moses, as man representing the father, bear his children? That's the question. Moshe, being the father figure or representation of Yahuah, if he could not bear them, it would be like Yahuah could not bear them. They would have what? Have lost their hope. Okay. He was representative. We're going to see where it says that. And then now he's saying he can't bear. You're going to see how his faith starts to decline. Okay.
Moreh, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If we go back to verse 12, when Moshe is saying, I cannot myself bear alone your cumbrance
Mm-hmm.
and your burden and your strife.
Mm-hmm.
Would that explain what was wrong with it?
Right. This is one of the reasons. So we're going to see later on that there are two reasons. And so we're going to see it later on. But yeah, one of it is him understanding why he can't bear it. We're going to see what that means.
Toda.
All right. So Shemot 20:19. Remember, we just did the 10 words, right? And it says, and they said unto Moshe, speak you with us, and we will hear, but let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. All right. So then Moshe said unto the people, fear not, for Elohim is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. Okay. So 3 parts here I want you to get at for this first generation. So listening to other people outside of your nation that Yahuah has not talked to is going to be one problem. Number 2 is going to be you listen and desire it so that you get relief from the people. Wow, I can get some help. We're going to see, is that okay? Can I get some help? Is that fine for everybody? Okay, well, we're going to see. But here we're going to see how does this work. If you want help, we're going to see how you get help. Okay. Number 3, allowing the people to make the decision to have who they want to be leaders outside of the will of Yahuah. Okay. Your buddy, your friend, your pal, right? Not going to work. However, remember why Moshe made judges. Not because Yahuah said to, but because of his father-in-law, right? The Midianite, right? The Midianite. So he made it because of the Midianite. He knows his father-in-law, and I'm not saying his father-in-law meant evil. We're going to see that he didn't. That's a bit. Number 2, it says even if it was in good intentions, it must be funneled through Yahuah. It is whose plan? His plan. Okay, did Yahuah go to his father-in-law? Okay, we're going to see that. No, that's not it. He didn't. This is allowing people to make decisions when the plans were not revealed or not having the Ruach or the Spirit of Yahuwah will cause damage to his plan. Okay? So as nice as you want it to be, you're going to see that it has to be according to the way Yahuwah tells you to do it. All right, the job of Moses. So we're going to go back here really fast. It says, and you shall speak unto him and put words in his mouth. And I will be with your mouth and with his mouth and will teach you what you shall do. Okay, verse 16 says, and he shall be your spokesman unto the people, and he shall be, even he shall be to you instead of the mouth, and you shall be to him instead of Elohim, or instead of Elohim. All right, so the one that's going to be speaking or talking and giving a message is who in this old Parsha here? Okay, Moshe, you know, Aaron, right? All right, great. Now look at verse 18. 13 says, and it came to pass on the morrow that Moshe sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses and Moshe from morning until evening. And when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that you do to the people? Why sit you yourself alone, and all the people stand by you from morning until evening? And Moshe said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire. Look that word up, it means to seek of Elohim. So he was made, he was set up, his job was what? If they're coming to seek Yahuwah, he's there to explain and help them understand Yahuwah, right? His precepts, everything. But anyway, verse 16 says, and when they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. Okay, that's his job, right? Did he give that job to anybody else? No. Okay. So sitting as mediators, I put intermediaries. He says, when you set up an intermediary, the expectation is that they already understand the plan. If you're going to set somebody up to go along with something, they should already understand the plan. You can't set somebody up and they don't understand the plan. Okay. They know what to do. If they do not, they can or will cause the plan to be jeopardized. So what was Moses' father-in-law's response to, after he said all of this stuff to him? Father, what is this thing that you're doing? What was his response? Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that you do is not good. Where did he get that from? Okay, Yahuwah didn't tell him it's not good. Okay, that's not good. He said, oh, this is not good. And then this is what he did. You will surely wear away both you and this people that is with you, for this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone. I mean, so this people, not your brother and sister, these people, man, they're going to wear you out. So again, because his father-in-law, is he a Hebrew? No. Israelite? Okay. He's not an Israelite. All right. He's a what? He's a Midianite, and that Moses knows something. So anyway, we'll keep going. So he told him a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. That he said, what? Surely you will do what? You will wear away. And then it says, and this people with you, the thing is too heavy for you, and you're not able to perform this yourself alone. So he's telling him what he can't do. All right. Now, can anyone think about some examples of today? How does that work? Oh, don't happen like this?
Like you tell your child something, and they see somebody, you tell them what you want to do, how you want to do it, and they go out and seek their counterparts, as I call them, stick partners for something else, instead of going by what you said is correct and will keep them out of trouble. But they go and talk to their friends about it.
Okay. I just know we don't like using this microphone for whatever reason. I understand. Okay, I got you. All right. So we're going to say it one more time. All right. So if you think about it, when it says to wear away. Sometimes, the Father gives what you're going to see later on, the leadership or someone the Father is given to be in a position. And while he's in this position, what winds up happening is, to the outside, it may seem like it's too much. It's too much for that person. And so they begin to want to help. Their intentions is clean, right? They want to literally help. However, if the Father hasn't given them that ability or capability to do so, then that person should not rush to go do that just because he just wants relief. Okay, they're with me so far. But not only that, he says he's starting to tell him something. This is what? He said, this thing is too heavy for you. Now he's telling you something. Now, could that in your mental be like, you're absolutely right. This is wearing me out, right? Then he says, you're not able to perform it yourself alone, like the serpent in the garden, so to speak, right? So the point that I'm getting at is not that he meant the way the serpent did. He means well, but again, the plan has to be according to the Father. Verse 19, he says, hearken down to my voice. Now, let's switch this thing up. Yahuah told, listen, hearken unto my voice, and then if that's not good enough, and I will give you counsel. And then what happens? And Yahuah shall be with you. How? You see what's happening here. So he says, be you for the people before Elohim, that you may bring the causes unto Elohim. And you shall teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of the truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of 50, and rulers of 10. So you see where this is coming from. All right, so his father-in-law set this thing up for him, and it seemed to be good in his eyes. Right? All right. So what is a burden, and can Yahuah give you a burden? Does anyone believe that Yahuah can give you a burden? Can everyone agree?
Yes.
All right. So what's a burden? The first I put, a burden is something you carry mentally or physically. It is expressed in a good or a bad way. Okay, it's expressed in a good or a bad way. Keep that in mind. Definition.
Speakers, headphones, real tech hype.
Not to mute it. All right, so Masah, right? We'll look at the root in just a minute. But a burden, specifically a tribute, right? But also an utterance, singing, mental, burden, prophecy, song. How can song be burden? Yeah. Translated as song. How can a song be a burden?
There's some of these songs out here is a burden. If you listen to it,
Well, I see some. There's a song, I won't say.
Could it be based on the mood of the song versus like you have a joyous song and then you may have a more of a judgmental song or sadness?
Yep. Okay, so you can see it in songs. It's heavy. They express it through singing, right? And hearing songs like Shrai was talking about. Like, what's that song that
The Message.
Eat the booty like groceries? Is that a song?
Oh my goodness! Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a burden, right? Well, let me back up. I'm saying for some, that's walking this walk, and they're like, look, this thing ain't gonna happen. This thing's not happening, right? But my point is, some song you listen to, you like, oh my God, man,
You like trap music,
right?
You like trap music.
Yeah. All right. So how can let's say prophecy be a burden? Bad prophecy. When you say bad prophecy, what does that mean? Okay, but how does it make it a burden? So let me give you an example. Okay, so imagine a prophecy that's been said upon you that's bad. Now it creates a burden on you. Or Yahuah gives you a part that you must give to somebody. You're holding that in, like, you really want me to go tell this person this? So now it becomes something that you feel is a burden. Not that it's a bad burden, so to speak, but the point is, you see how this works.
Get your house in order.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
so quiet tonight.
So that's from that, songs, burden, utterance, singing, mental. And it does play a mental game on you. We're going to see a little bit of this in just a minute. All right, so the root of the word here is nasa. Okay, and just look at the highlights. The highlights really means something like you have to accept. Okay, bear, to bear up. It literally means to lift up. To carry. What do you mean forgive? Hold up, honorable man. Marry, pardon, raise up, receive, respect, spare, stir up, swear, take away. So we're going to just really briefly, we understand how carrying a burden is bad for some people, right? Because you carry a burden, it starts working on you slowly but surely. Just working on you. But forgive, how is that a burden? Or can be viewed as to bearing something. So when did something to you, you have to forgive them. But is that not still bearing on you? Is it still not causing you a little bit of burden, even though you're trying to let that go? Is everyone with me so far? All right. Then you have to hold up, to honorable man, marry. What do you mean marry? Is marriage a burden? Huh?
Well, Moreh, would it mean because you're responsible, if you're married, you're responsible for your spouse?
Right. So that's what I said. Married. The married means that when you come together, you have now accepted certain things. Things can be a burden, right? And I'm not saying they're always a bad burden, but it still can be a burden. Oh man, I got to make sure this house is functioning. Oh, I got to pay these bills. Oh, we definitely need to get some groceries. Oh, money's going out, nothing's coming in. All this stuff is happening. I just got paid. Every time money comes in, something breaks down instantly. Every time money comes in, something happens, it goes back out. Anyway, pardon is the same thing. If you forgive, or if you pardon. The thing about pardoning is normally a pardon is something that's totally gone, normally, right? But in our mental, we may pardon something, but we might still be holding something in, right? Raise up, to receive, respect, spare, stir up. How to swear a burden. Remember, we talked about making vows. And then you bind yourself to that vow. It becomes your burden. All right, we'll keep going. Mashiach says, take my yoke. If you look it up, it's another way of saying my balance. Okay, balance upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your soul, your nefesh, right? Then he says, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now we're going to see in a minute, when he says my burden is light, does this still mean you're going to have a burden? Yes. Absolutely. Okay, but it's still a burden. Just understand how, and we got to talk about how you get through a burden, right? So we hear about a burden, but how to get through it. So he said, lean on Yah's one. And you remember an example here of a Korach, right? A Kohath, where it says, and when Aaron and his sons have made an end of covering, or the sanctuary, the HaKodesh, and all of the vessels of the HaKodesh, or the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forward, after that, the sons of Kohath shall come to do what? There's your first Hebrew word here, as you see this one here. This is this one right here. Okay, so shall bear, but they shall not touch any HaKodesh, or the set apart things, lest they die. These things are the what? This is what the things that they're going to carry. Okay, the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation. So again, the Father can give you a burden that you must do. Okay? So the job of the leadership is to take on the burdens and to help people with burdens. That's their job. So sometimes, you know, it's rough because you listen to their burden. Sometimes you feel it. Sometimes you can relate to it, and it makes you heavy. I don't know if everyone ever had those experiences, but it will do that for you. And then you want to help, you want to do this, but understand that that's the job of counselors, of leadership, of parents, of anything like that. That's of someone that's in charge of something. That's their job is to help with those burdens. All right. So we know his father-in-law meant well. He had no desire to do evil to him or Israel. However, good intentions have nothing to do with the plan of Yahuah. Is not or knowing the plan of Yahuah is not the same. So whatever burden Yahuah puts on you, it is for his esteem. Okay, he would not put on you more than you can bear. So clearly, he can give you these burdens because he knows that you can do it. All this is just to say he gave this to Moses because he knew Moses was able to handle it. Remember how humble they said Moses was? So he was all of these things, but what got him out of that? The people. The people got him out from there. That's what I said. The people can do something to you. Okay?
They will jump on in.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's do what it says, Numbers 11:14. I'm not able to bear all this people alone because it is too heavy for me. What? What do you mean? Now, then his father-in-law said, yeah, you can't bear that burden. Now, all of a sudden, I can't bear this burden. Right? So father said, listen, okay. Father said, all right. No problem. Let's see what I can do for you. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there. And I will take the Ruach, the spirit which is upon you, and will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burdens of the people with you, that you bear not yourself alone. This is how you transfer. Not the way that the father-in-law said do it. This is what the father says, okay, I'll do it. Because why? The Father's Spirit is going to be on. It's going to help them with the plan. Okay? Is everyone with me so far? All right. Then we jump down to verse 24, and it says, and Moses went out and told the people that the words of Yahuwah, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them around about the tabernacle. And Yahuwah came down in the cloud and spoke unto him, and took the Ruach, the spirit that was upon him, and gave it to the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. Remember, we read about burdens being deal with prophecy, right? So now we see this portion of it, and I put the Ruach of Yahuwah is designed to lead and guide and help you with burdens. Now it's telling you how we're going to do this here. So his word helps you, leading, the Father's word is training you. The Father's Ruach is helping you, is leading you, and is guiding you, but also should be able to help you with the burdens. Is everyone with me so far? All right. Saying according to his plan. So notice that Moses asked for help from Yahuwah. He gave him help. This help needed to have the same spirit of Moses. Without it, it would cause problems. So back to the father-in-law. This is verse 22. And let them judge the people at all seasons. At that it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier yourselves, and they shall bear the burden with you. So father-in-law is saying, this is how you're going to bear these burdens. Okay, so what would be or could be a potential problem here?
They're going to have the spirit of Ruach of the Yahuwah to be able to discern whatever the situation case might be as well informed.
Mm-hmm.
To make a judgment call based on personal feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole process off track.
Right, because we can have some wise people. We can have some wise brothers, wise sisters, that can give some good advice. But sometimes that advice can cause problems in the plan. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, all right. But in this case, it says, by letting them be the judge and without having the spirit of Yahuah placed on them, all the small matters can become greater matters, right? And then we know this for sure. If your esteem is not good, know you not that a little leaven will leaven the whole lump. Just a little bit of your stuff in the Father's plan is not good. Just a little bit of yourself. That's why it's like losing yourself totally to Him. Okay, just a little bit of yourself, you're gonna cause yourself some problems. All right, the heads of Israel. So there are a lot of heads in Israel. The pattern in the scripture is also happening today. So here we go. Some are appointed by Yahuah. A lot are appointed by others or themselves. A whole lesson would have to be dedicated as to how this works, how to spot them, so to speak, and what are the instructions to even being called a leader. But right now, I just want to say leaders should have no problem with accountability. All leaders must have some form of counsel or judges that can help them stay in good standing. There are leaders today, just as it was back then, that answer to nobody. Okay, has no desire to. This is not good. Okay, they have no desire to do that. So I would like to give some examples in scriptures to show how the heads of Israel were, and double type that again, huh? And now, but again, this would need to be a future lesson. So I'm gonna give you an example, a couple examples. And then in these examples, just tell me what you see, if it's good or if it's bad. And Moshe chose able men of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rules of thousands, rules of hundreds, rules of 50, rules of 10. Is this good or bad? Okay, sounds good? All right. Did we all read the same stuff together?
Yeah, we read the same stuff together.
Okay, this was good.
No, that was good.
All right. All right. Okay.
But you could cut out chaos and them say you be over 1,000, you could be over 10 or whatever. You could still cause problems.
Right.
How you get managed to get all of
But remember, the problem was his father-in-law gave him the go-ahead, and then he decided to accept that advice and not do it the way the father told you. The spirit is on Moses, so that's his job. If the father wanted the thousands and all the way down, then he would put the spirit on them so they can equally have that burden. All right, so Numbers 13:2 says, send you men that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among. And Moshe, by the commandment of Yahuah, sent them from the wilderness of Paran, and those men were heads of the children of Israel. Is this good or bad?
Who commanded?
I think
Who commanded?
Right. Remember what it says now. Who commanded this?
By the commandment of Yahuah.
Okay. By the commandment of Yahuah. So we know that this one is, this is good.
Is good.
All right. 16:1. It says, now Korach, the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kahat, says the son of Levi, and the Dathan and Abiram, son of Abikab, and On, the son of Pelet, sons of Reuben, took men. So it says, and they rose up before Moshe and Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of assembly. And then it says, what were they? Famous in the congregation of men and of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron. So again, they chose this good. All right. So the only thing that seems to be good so far is, all right, he commands. All right, so then it leads up to, this is last week and this week's Parsha. So it says, how can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife? Take you wise men, understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And you answered me and said, the thing which you have spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of their tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, captains over 50, captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. So we already went over this. And then it says, and it came to pass, this is chapter 5, verse 23, here, and it came to pass when you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. Go you near and hear all that Yahuah Elohim shall say, and speak unto us all that Yahuah Elohim shall speak unto you, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahuah heard the voice of your words when you spoke unto me. And Yahuah said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto you. They have well said all that they have spoken. So this latter part here, he's talking about back at Mount Sinai, right? Notice what happened. In here, he said, listen, they don't want to hear from Yahuah. They'd rather hear from Moses. The father says, okay, that's fine. So if that's fine, the father says, I'm okay with what? With them hearing from you. I didn't give no other command. So when Father comes on and says something different, this is where the problem lies. All the complaining, we saw all the stuff that was happening, things like that. Could this be because the people started coming together? The heads started coming together against Moses. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. So in this Parsha, Moses expressing to the next generation the faults of their parents, but also himself. He spent a great deal on what he allowed in his thinking, what he went through, and how he let the pressures of the people to change him. Why couldn't Moses make it in the land? 2012 says,
Yahuah spoke unto me, because they believe me not to purify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you should not bring this congregation to the land.
all right. So he tells you what happened. Believe me not. And because you believe me not, to purify the people, right? So this time he says, well, hey, listen, therefore you will not bring or lead this congregation into the land which I have given you. Okay, so this right here is talking about him leading. So the question which I asked Yahuah was to come as a citizen, not as a leader. Okay, so here's the answer Yahuah gave him. He said, I pray you let me go over and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan, the Jordan, the goodly mountain and the Lebanon. But Yahuah was wroth with me for your sake again. He keeps talking about what happened from another. Okay, he would not hear me. And Yahuah said unto me, let it suffice you. Speak no more unto me of this matter. Okay, so get you up into the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward, and behold it with your eyes, for you shall not go over this Jordan or the Jordan. Okay, so again, he's not going in for a couple of reasons. So the reason for Moshe not being able to enter to the land at all was not because of the hitting of the rock alone. The reason for not going into the land was because he listened to the people opposed to the instructions of Yahuah. He allowed the people to cause him to have doubt. The people caused unbelief in him, listening to his word. They're listening to his words, right? Or their words. So if you think about what's happening is Moses is having a struggle, and that's the pressure that we have today. Sometimes even with family members, you kind of compensate a little bit because you don't feel like you want to hurt their feelings, right? You get some of these that do that, and you're trying to be nice. And the thing about it is, you're going to have to at some point stand strong or firm in your home or around about them. But we'll talk about that later. All right, 9 says, and I've spoken to you that at this time I am not able to bear. So this I'm just sharing with you where this unbelief is. Okay, 9 talks about the not able to bear. 12, I can't bear alone. 31, it says in the wilderness where you have seen how that Yahuah Elohim bears you as a man does his son. Okay, then 5:28-29, go you near and hear all that Yahuah Elohim shall say, and speak unto us all that Yahuah said. So remember, all these things we already read, but I want you to see from the starting of it how he's already said he just couldn't do it anymore. He was shutting down. I can't bear this. I can't. And then he let you know at the end, but the Father told him that you can do it. The reality of it is, right? He said, all that they said spoken, no problem. We'll make it happen. All right. So comparing, I put on here in 2011 where it says, and Musa lifted up his hands and with his rod, he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and the beast also. And Yahuah spoke unto Moses and Aaron, because you believe me not, to purify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you shall not bring or lead the congregation there. Then 35, where it says that all these things we already read, right? Now, when you go down to chapter 3, verse 25-26, it says, I pray you, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan and the good mountains of Lebanon. This is, but Yahuah was wroth with me. And I want us to understand that this is what we need to do when you think about all of this. Right here. Pray for leadership. Because they can stumble from burdens as well. If they start hearing enough of it, don't you think that they might start to change a little bit or turn or something like that? Because why? They're more concerned about the people, sometimes less of themselves, because they really just want to help out, but maybe not subconsciously thinking that some of the stuff kind of crept inside of them as well. All right? So I put, Musa could not bear Israel. He lost belief and didn't purify the people. All right. The speech of Moses was designed to understand a relationship. So remember, years ago we talked about chiasms. Everyone's familiar with chiasms? The starting point and ending points. So we know that there was no punctuation mark, chapters, verses, and ancient scrolls. How were they able to know where to start and stop when making the Torah, the 12 portions, the changing of thoughts? Okay, so I want to go over one way. Other ways deal with primarily knowing the language, okay, knowing syntax and grammar and things like that. But I want to give you some other, just one other way. All right, so making 3 columns, because it was a little bit more than I could fit, you're going to see how I had to break this thing down. All right, so, and I had to type everything out, just so we clear, because it wouldn't allow me to copy and paste nothing. All right. So, opening first, right? Before we hit those parts that I'm referring to, think about what this says here. And you see the comparison. This is the opening of this Parsha, right? It says, now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the Kokim, right, the statutes, and unto the Mishpatim, or the judgments, which I teach you for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahuah Elohim, or your fathers, give you, for you shall not add unto the word which what's that word there? That's what it says. Way et him, right? All right, great. Glad you guys are reading that good Hebrew. Command you, neither shall you diminish from it, that they may may keep the commandments, mitzvot, right, of Yahuah Elohim, which I command you. Closing of it. So that's the opening. Here's the closing. I will keep the it says you shall keep this right here means you. Okay, so this here is shamarta. You shall keep therefore his statute, and this word for his, you can find it this right here. All right, anyway, and the commandments of his, you see it right here. So kind of just the Y there. But my point here is I will command you and this day that it may be well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which Yahuah Elohim gives you forever. Okay, so do you all see any similarities in this? So if you see the statutes and the judgments, you see that they go together. If you see keep, you see they go together, right? Right? So the opening will sometimes sound like the closing. Everything in the middle is a part of the speech. Another example, I'll make this really quick. Debariym 5:1, it says, and Moses called all of Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, Shema Yisrael, the statutes and the judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them and keep and do them. Yahuah Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Right? Closing. Go you near and what? Hear all that Yahuah Elohim shall say, and speak you unto us all that Yahuah Elohim shall speak unto you, and we will hear and do it. So everyone sees the speaking and the hearing. So you see that this is why these are going together. Same thing here in 6:1. It says, and these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuah Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you go to possess it. And then it says, you shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and judgment which I command you this day to do them. So these are how some of these examples. So okay, so doing the scriptures this way will help you learn from how will help you learn from it. And I'm going to give you some examples here. Now, in here, the three that we went over, those three examples that we went over, I put them in these little buckets. All right. So it was in Debariym 4:1, and it stops at 4:40, right? All right. So when you look at it here, it says 4:6 says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom. All the stuff now is in the middle of the starting point and the stopping point of what we did. Remember, I said there's an opening and there's a closing. We're in the middle of the first one. Okay. So he's telling you, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. So I put note. Number one, we know this is the mission for Israel. So I put note, the mission of the people of Yahuah, we are to allow the nations to hear his words. Okay, so remember where it started. Don't forget it, but we won't talk about that until next week. All right, so my point here is, though, he's setting Israel up for their mission. This is what Israel's designed to do. All right, so the next one is, this is how you can disrupt your mission. Only take heed to yourselves and keep your soul diligent, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life, but teach them your sons and your sons' sons. The day that you stood before Yahuah Elohim in Horeb, when Yahuah said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and they broke it off a little bit, but to teach their children. All right. So again, if you don't do this, this will disrupt it. Meaning, if Yeshua was sharing earlier about if you don't teach this to the next generation, it will start to disrupt this cycle. All right. And then the last part says, and Yahuah spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform 10 Debarims, and wrote them upon 2 tablets of stone. So again, Yahuah wanted to let Israel know what they are to do and look for. Okay, so this is what we're going with the covenant. All right, the next one is 5:1. And I do have a question for you right here at the bottom. So it says, Yahuah made not his covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahuah talked with your face to face and mount out of the fire. 10 words of 10 Debarims were the this is my notes. 10 Debarims were the marital laws or vows that makes up the covenant. Their parents did not take them seriously. That's it. Remember, we read showing mercy unto thousands that keeps his commandments. That's what we read, correct? Question is, if he's showing mercy unto thousands that keeps his commandments, why would they need mercy if they're keeping his commandments? Anyone?
Moreh, maybe because he knew that they would have issues keeping all of his commandments, but he knew in their hearts that they were trying to keep all his commandments, so he's showing mercy unto them.
Okay. And what are you saying?
That's basically what I was saying. At the end of the day, the Father knows that we're not perfect, we're striving to be perfect, and that at some point we might mess up and we're going to need that mercy.
Okay. So we can see here, he's showing mercy that keeps his commandments. That must mean we're not perfect in keeping his commandments, but he will show mercies when we fall short. So this is not a New Testament thing. This is what I'm trying to show you. Here to let you know that showing mercy to that keeps his commandments. All he's asking you is keep the commandments. If you fall short, I can give you mercy. But when you think it's done away with, it's a whole different story. Okay? We'll see a little bit of that in just a minute. Daniel 9:11, the ketubah. He said, yea, all Israel has transgressed your Torah, even by departing that they might not obey your voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is ketubah, that's the ketubah, it says ketubah in the Hebrew there, in the Torah of Moshe Moses, the servant of Elohim, because we have sinned against him. So this was a ketubah, or the marriage covenant that he's talked about in the book of Daniel. And in verse 13 it says, and it is written in the Torah of Moshe Moses, all this evil is upon us, yet made we not our prayer before Yahuah Elohim, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand your youth, okay, our truth. Yeah. So it says his truth only produces righteousness. Okay, anything else produces a curse. We have to abide by the covenant unto death. The minute you make a contract, you make an agreement, you can't just break it anytime you feel like breaking it. Okay? All right. I think we got 2 more buckets and we should be good. All right. So this one here is the Shema. Everyone knows Shema. Hear Israel. Yahuah Elohim, who is one. You shall love Yahuah Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. So Yahuah wants us to know him and to love him in a way that you give up yourself to whom you said, I do. Remember back in 19, Exodus 19, he said, all he said, we will do. And he is the groom, and we want to be the bride, right? In what? In his house. You can't do what you want to do and then think you're going to his house. Okay, if you're the bride, that means whatever the groom's household rules is, they must submit to the rules. All right, the middle box says, and how will I bless you and why will I bless you? Okay, so anyway, here's how the blessings work. He says, and the house is full of all good things which you filled not, and well did which you did not, vineyards and olive trees which you planted not, when you shall have eaten and be full. Beware lest you forget Yahuah, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall fear Yahuah Elohim and serve him, and shall swear by his name. So, swearing by his name is right or wrong? It's good. All right. 620 says, this is the part where we're talking about teaching to the next generation, but it says, when your sons ask you in times to come, saying, what means this witness and the statutes and the judgment which Yahuah Elohim has commanded you? Then you shall say unto your sons, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Mitzrayim, Egypt, and Yahuah brought us out of Mitzrayim with a mighty hand. All right, so what will his statutes and judgments do for you in the last days? You got some addresses? I want you to think about it. The statutes and the judgment, we read it a lot. Okay, gives you access to your sure. You're talking about Revelation 22:14. Does it have statutes and judgments there? Oh. What will his statutes and judgments do for you in the last days, right? Remember, we read this a lot. And I will purify my great name, which is profaned among the heathens, which you have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am Adonai Yahuah, when I shall be purified in you before their eyes. I will take you from among the heathens of the Gentiles and gather you out of all countries, and will do what? Bring you into your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness and from all your idols, and I will cleanse you. Now listen, a new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach, or a new spirit, will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my ruach, or my spirit, within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them, and you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. That's what it's going to do for you. Okay? That's what's going to happen. So this can't be done away with. His word can never come back void. All right? So what is your belief? Okay, so here's something that I need everybody to put the pants on for. Okay? Or the dresses or the skirts. It doesn't matter. All right. So I put, what is your belief? Meaning, if you had to label yourself, what type of label would you classify yourself? The first example, I'm asking you guys, are you all polytheistic? No one's polytheistic.
Moreh, I have no idea what that word even means.
Polytheistic literally means someone that believes in serving other gods, a whole bunch of different mighty gods or deities that's coming from. All right, so I'm going to give you a definition in just a minute. For this discussion, I want to just go over 3 of the 4. All right, so here's the first one. Polytheism is the worship or belief in multiple deities, which are usually assembled into a pantheon, the religion of gods and goddesses, along with their own religion and rituals. Is anyone in this category? No?
No.
Okay. Here we go. Number 2, monotheism is defined as the belief in the existence of only one Elohim that created the world, is all-powerful, and intervenes in the world. There is no other mighty ones, no other deities, no other gods. Are you guys this?
Yeah.
Yes, hallelujah.
Okay? So everyone agrees to this. Okay. I got one more. Henotheism is the worship of a single Elohim, while not denying the existence of or possible existence of other Elohims or deities.
That's the one.
Yeah.
All right. So which one are we now?
That's the one.
All right. So let me give you an example, because some people say, oh, no. You done bumped your head somewhere. So I'm only just going to give you just one place, but there's a lot. Tehillim in Psalms 82, verse 1 says, Elohim has taken his place in the ESV. It has divine counsel. In the I guess KJV, it's like a congregation of mighty or something like that. But here's the Hebrew for it right here. This is by that L right here, right? And L is mighty one. All right. It says in the congregation of El, right? Congregation of El, the mighty one. In the midst of the Elohim, he holds judgment. What does that mean? So again, if you say, hey, I'm monotheistic, you say you're here, right? Then you're basically saying you don't really believe this way. Right? In other words, there is none. Only just him, everything else. Now, I'm not talking about the one that's carved as wood and stuff that you make. I'm not talking about that. What I'm simply stating here is, let me hit my eraser. Yes.
Sorry about that, Moreh. I didn't even know what these words meant until you broke it down. I'm just a believer of the Most High. I never even knew what these words actually meant, and I'm being really honest.
Oh, no worries. That's what we're just going over it really briefly. We went over it about maybe five years ago, but I'm just really bringing this back just to kind of share some things. So what I'm simply sharing is that, if Elohim takes his place, and we know the Elohim, we're talking about Yahuah, okay? He's taking his place in the divine council, the congregation of El, or mighty ones, if you will. It says in the midst of the Elohim, right? In the midst of them, he holds judgment. So that must mean there has to be other mighty ones, or Elohim, outside of himself. Okay? All right. So again, we went over this 2014, I think, or 2015, one of the two. But we'll keep going. All right, so the point of bringing this up is to understand why Yahuwah is comparing and sharing our deliverance from Mitzrayim or Egypt and his desire with his people. So my only point of doing this is to say, why do you keep talking about Egypt so much? Because Egypt is polytheistic. This is Egypt right here, okay? Okay, so we're going to see. Oh, yeah, they didn't mind. All right, so just keep that in mind because it's going to be for the last bucket. So here is the last one that we went over, which is 6:1, and it stops at chapter 7, verse 11, where it says, neither shall you make marriage with them your daughter. You shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son. It says, for they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other Elohim. So will the anger of Yahuwah be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. So this is mixing with the nations. Okay, he said you'll be destroyed. All right, now go to the middle one. It says, why Yahuwah picked Israel? And he says in verse 7, Yahuwah did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. They were very small compared to all the people on the planet. He picked the smallest one. Then he says, but because Yahuwah loved you, and because you will keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, has Yahuwah brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hands of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim. So again, he also made an oath with their forefathers. He does not break his oath. Okay? Last book, it says, so I put on here, and this is understanding a real relationship with Yahuwah. So this is why I wanted to preface that with this here. So what do you believe? The Shema means Yahuwah is the one, right? Here is, okay. So not the other Elohims are non-existent. The prince and the princess, demons, fallen watchers of Melachims or spirits. I'm not really talking about those today. But deities, I said, if you will, and but one or Echad unified in him, his spirit is to dwell in you. The other spirits want to possess you and take over you. That's the difference. So if someone's asking the Father to come in, you're not saying, Father, possess me, right? At least I don't think that's what you guys are saying, right? Possess me versus demons and spirits. They have a whole different agenda, right? You can't even get to them. They don't remember. All right. So the Egyptians' belief compared to the belief of Israel. So the Egyptian culture had many mighty ones or Elohims. Some mimic the signs of Moses. Y'all remember that story, right? So that they did in Mitzrayim. However, for this Parsha, I want to share why they did and compare that structure with what Yahuwah wants. All right. So this thing that you see over here to the right is Tefnut, or some say Tefnat. The nut that says, have the deity in charge of moisture and rain. That's what this one's in charge of. In charge of moisture and rain. Okay? If I am a farmer and need rain and moisture so that my crops can grow, I would call or pray to that deity. Okay, so you really don't have a relationship with it. I don't love it, but I need it. So I call on it because I need it. I do something for it, it will do something for me. Okay, so worship is based on self-interest. This is how it works in some believe how it worked in Mitzrayim or Egypt. So again, in this understanding, it's not a real relation. You know of it, but you don't have a working relationship with it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you see yeah, a lot of bargaining goes on with this here. And there's a lot more that can take it into today's understanding of different things with spirits and people and things like that. So I'm not going to do that today. So, but at any rate, here you have no relationship. Okay, so Yahuwah is more than just a being that can give rain and season or can protect you or fulfill your needs. He's more than that. Okay, so Yahuwah is the one Elohim that can do all, meaning whereas in Mitzrayim, they had a deity for this, they had a deity for that, they had everything, they had a deity for. Yahuwah is like saying, I do it all. Okay, you ain't got to ask nobody but me, right? So he says he wants you to identify him. Okay, he created it all. I made this and you. I did this for a reason. You are important to me. I love you. So I did all of this for you. Let's have a relationship. See, that's what the Father wants. Here it says, I want a relationship for us. Okay, I want a relationship with you. You are the source of true life. I want to love you with my whole heart and soul. You made me in your image. I want your spirit. I want to give you my soul. Right? That should be our understanding back to him. Right? Yeah. So if we believe that, then we can have a relationship. But you got to give control to him. See how this works? If not, you can't give it control when you feel good. Oh, I feel good. This is the time. Oh, man, I'm going through something. Not right now. This is not the moment, Yah. You're not going to do that. I pray you're not going to. Right? So, again, have to have that. So, why? It says, why hand it down to the next generation? Everyone, we talked really brief about it. So, I'm going to make this really fast. It says, when the parents or parents of Israel experience what they experienced, how Yahuwah loved them, he did not want the next generation to not know this type of love. Usually the generations to come would be the neglected one, meaning if Yah came in our generation, hundreds or 1,000 years later, they didn't have the same experience we did. So we firsthand experience, we can give it to the next generation. Right? So they did not have this experience, their parents did. So to keep this love alive, it must be taught to the next generation. This is the only how this thing is going to stay alive. Normally, the children would inherit their family's legacy, houses or vineyards. They didn't build. Okay, they could not appreciate the one who gave it to their family if they do not know the source. If you just we'll just let our kids go about their business, have a good day, and then next you know they might marry into another nation, if you will, and then they might say, "Well, this is Belpior. He's the one that gave us everything that we need." Oh, he is? Okay, why? Because the story was not handed down to the next generation. They were not taught right. So the next part is to not mingle with the idolatrous nations. They will cause you to forget Yahuwah, go after their Elohim, and possibly believe that their Elohim gave you the things you have. Why? Because you have no relationship with him. Okay, that's why you're going to get that. Okay, scriptural questions concerning the purpose of the law. This is going to be interesting for you guys. So what did Moshe say the purpose of the Hukim or the statutes and the Mishpatim or the judgments was for? What did he say? We read it earlier. Huh? Is that what we read earlier, you said? Oh, okay. You can't keep dyeing that beard. Something's happening to you. Okay. All right. Here we go. It says, now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the Hukim and unto the Mishpatim, which I teach you, for to do them that you may live and go in and possess the land which Elohim or your fathers had gives you. That's what he's telling. They're for. Everyone's with me so far? All right. So where can you read about when Yahuwah first gave statutes and the judgments? You don't have to answer. I'm going to share it with you really fast. These are the places. Exodus or Shemot 21, verse 1. This is now these are the Mishpatims, which you have set before them in Leviticus 18, verse 5, and then 18, verse 26, where it says, you shall do my judgment and keep my chukim, or my statutes, and to walk there, and I am Yahuah Elohim. You shall therefore keep my chukim and my mishpatim, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahuah, or I need Yahuah. And 26 says, you shall therefore keep my chukim and my mishpatim, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither of your own nation, or any stranger that sojourns among you. So these are the places where you can find that where he gave these two. So, but the Torah was given first, then the chukim and the mishpatim. Why is this important? He gave first. He gave this first, right? And then after that, you hear this and this. We're going to see why that's important in just a minute. All right. So, chukim, the statutes, and the mishpatim, the judgments. What was the other reason why Yahuah gave the chukim, or the statutes, and the mishpatim, the judgments in this Parsha? You want to take a stab at it? Okay. Okay, we're going to do this here. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahuah Elohim, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahuah did because of Bel Peor. For all the men that follow Bel Peor, Yahuah Elohim has destroyed them from among you. But you that did cleave unto Yahuah Elohim are alive, every one of you this day. And so what I'm sharing with you is that the other reason that he gave it was because of the Bel Peor situation, right? So you see, first he gives you laws and stuff, and then you'll read, and it's always like this. If you ever go back to the last Parshas, you start seeing him adding stuff as Israel started violating things, right? We want to see that. So for right now, I put on here, so they are for you to live, right? But Yahuah wants you to choose life versus death. After seeing what Israel had done, Yahuah gave these statutes and judgments. Certain instructions were added because of transgression. Okay, so I want you to keep this in mind, because you know where we're going. Galatians. So he says, wherefore then serves the law? It was added because of transgression, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by the Malachims in the hands of the mediator. What was added? Sacrificial laws was added for sin. Okay. Okay. Okay, so sacrifices for sin was added. Also, mind you, he says, you'll see that don't do this to Molech. Don't do this to Bel Peor. Why does he have to say this?
Because we were doing it.
Because what they did. See, this is the adding that, speaking of Galatians, has nothing to do with the commandments. We're going to see that in just a minute. So for right now, just understand, when someone starts asking, you got to say, hey, what does he mean the law was added? They would say, hey, we keep the law, but we now might be misunderstanding what the law means, what the word law means. Okay, so we'll see just a minute. So no, we're not going to go over all of this, but I want you to see something. The word there in the Greek for law is nomos. Okay, that's what you see if you look it up in the Greek. And it means, it's translated as law, principles, customs. Now, if you take a Septuagint, Septuagint is going to tell you, you can follow the Septuagint, you'll get all the other translations of this word nomos into the Hebrew text. And so this is what this portion is for. So it's translated, nomos from the Greek, is translated in some places as Torah. Torah means directions, instructions, law, decisions, and rules, right? So it's translated this way. It's also translated as a kukah, right? The plural of that is statute, right? All right. Dot, order. chok, portions, terms, do, law, precepts, and the bar. So if you look up this word nomos, I'm just specifically talking about Galatians 3:19 for right now. It's letting you know that the law was added. That means certain customs, certain principles were added, certain statutes, certain laws. Not all is the law. Certain laws were added because of transgression. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So notice it is not translated as commandment. See that? You'll never find commandment as that. So a lot of times say, you keep commandments, no, you can keep commandments. You gotta say, well, well, look what Galatians says. Galatians says nothing about the commandments. That's why Meshach says, what must I do to have, the guy said, hey, good man, what must I do to have everlasting life, right? Matthew 19:16. Then Meshach says, why do you call me good? There's only one good, but Elohim. But if you want to have everlasting life or eternal life, keep the commandments, right? So again, there's a misnomer that these two go together, right? If laws or Torah literally means instructions, that means there's instructions for commandments, there's instructions for statutes, there's instructions for decrees, there's instructions for ordinance. In other words, there's a full breakdown as to what the word Torah literally means. Okay? We're doing good so far. All right, so what is the purpose of the commandment? 5:32 says, you shall observe to do therefore as Yahuah Elohim has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall walk in all the ways which Yahuah Elohim has commanded you, that you may live, and that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which Yahuah shall possess. So this word here is translated right here. Okay, this is so there, and what are they for? So that you long life, right? All right. Here's the definition of the word. Okay, so it's the definition of the word. There is suah, some may want to call it, but it's a what? Constitute, it's to enjoin, to appoint, it's a commandment, send messenger, set in order. So commandments is designed to set order in place, right? Now, once you got order set up, you got to give now some Torah or some instructions as to how to do it. So you shall not steal, right? That's the command. Then there's some instructions. But if you do, then you got to add a fifth to this and blah, 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 blah. You see how that works? So there's a command and then there's a Torah to that command. There's some instructions to it. All right. 6:1 says, these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuah Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whether you go to possess it. Hear Israel, Yahuah Elohim, Yahuah is one, or one Elohim, one Yahuah. And you shall love Yahuah Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So Mashiach states the same commandment, right? So if he states the same commandment, what is he saying? Here it is in Mark 12:28-30 says, and one of the scribes came, having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first command of all? And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, Israel, Yahuah Elohim, Yahuah is one. And you shall love Yahuah Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. Now, again, if one wants to have an argument about it saying heart, soul, mind, right, and strength. But then when you look at it in the Masoretic text, what do you see? Heart, soul, might, or strength. What's missing? Mind, right? And the Septuagint is translated as mind. Okay, so anyway, but we're not here to talk about that. So it says the commandments what does the commandments do for you? What the mitzvah do for you? Again, Kanan went over this on his lesson. Yahuah commanded us to do all these statutes and fear Yahuah Elohim for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. But this says, it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do these commandments before Yahuah your Elohim, right? That he has commanded us, right? So again, my point here is, it is whose righteousness? It is our righteousness. Now, not to say, so the laws that come with certain things, like I can't kill. I'm not a farmer, so I don't have no crops and things to fulfill that part of the law. So that law does not pertain to me, right? There's a law for women that has a nidah, but brothers don't have nidahs that I'm aware of. Okay, so again, that's not for the man. Now, if there's oh, okay. All right. Then we got stones. Okay. Anyway. Oh man, I had another joke, but let me keep going. All right. So, what does the Torah do for you? Now, we know what the commands do, and the Torah does the same thing, right? It says in Isaiah chapter 51, verse 4, it says, "Hearken unto me, my people, and give an ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgments to rest for a light of the people." I mean, his law is a light. And we start realizing what a light is. A light illuminates something. The Father's law illuminates his commandments. His law illuminates the statutes, it illuminates the decrees, illuminates everything, right? So he says, verse 5, it says, "My righteousness is near, my salvation has gone forth, and my arm shall judge the people. The owl shall wait upon me, and on my arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath, for the Shamayim, for the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they shall dwell therein and shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, my righteousness shall not be abolished." I was going to add some more slides, but we kind of ran out of time. But I was just going to share with you, for an example, of the abolishing. My righteousness shall not be abolished. And if his law is called righteous and his command is called righteous, the Mashiach says, "I didn't come to do away with the laws or the prophets." You got to know he didn't come away to do with the laws. He didn't come to destroy them or to abolish them. Right? But anyway, we'll keep going. 51 verse 7 says, "Hearken unto me, you that know righteousness, that the people in whose heart is my law." Okay? "Fear you not the reproach of men, neither be you afraid of their rivalries." This is TJ rivalries. All right. So everyone with me so far? We're coming to a close now. Any questions?
That was a quick close.
Yeah.
Moreh, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's written that it's even hard for the righteous persons to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure all of us are trying to do what the Father wants us to do because we love him so much.
Mm-hmm.
So all the righteousness that we're doing, we do not go home by good works. So is righteousness necessarily good works?
All right. Well, righteousness is going to produce the good works. So, in other words, it's like faith. Faith without works, they say, is dead, right?
Is dead. Mm-hmm.
So when we do righteousness, that means we're performing his instructions. His instructions is a verb. It's an action. So it creates work. Okay, that's how that realistically works. But by itself, either one by itself, you're going to hurt yourself. So if you think that you can just work your way into the kingdom, you're going to have a problem without no faith. If you think you have all the faith in the world with no works, you're going to have another problem, because faith without works is dead. So the Mashiach is basically, when you think about the Mashiach in the Torah, look at it from this angle. The Torah was the instructions, and it has the spirit behind it, but also the Mashiach comes with the faith, and having faith also in him. So these two coming together helps you see this. Now there's a difference. All right, so all right, so I'll say it this way. I was trying trying to wait till we get to our series with the Brit Kadashah, because a lot of people misunderstand the Mashiach. A lot of people think that you're supposed to serve the Mashiach in the way that you serve Yahuah. All right, that's a no-go. All right, because as it says, as the Mashiach says, I'll give you his two quotes, where he says that he told Shaitan, when he's trying to give him some, he says that you should not, what?
That
He said,
oh,
Yahuah only shall you serve. Right?
Right.
So Mashiach's letting you know only Elohim shall you serve. And then he says in another passage, he says, I did not come to be served or to minister, but to serve. You see what I mean? So in other words, you got to hear what he says. And then some people get a little upset and offended because of these things. And I'm saying, when we get to that side of it, you got to see, he said, I come to do the will of my Father. He's coming to do the will of the Father, keep his instructions and things like that. And a lot of people has missed it because now they've either went all the way extreme to one way or all the way extreme to the other way. And they have not understand that the words of the Mashiach, if you will. So when we do that series, we'll go over a lot of things that he said and how they go right along with the Torah. Okay. Other parts that people talk about, really quick, other things that people share about is, if they have an argument about is if, let's say the Mashiach is not in the Torah or something like that. Let's just say, we'll just say his name. We'll use that for an example. Think about it. If David is a great man, so much so that it's written in the Shamayim. Everyone agrees, right? Before David was born, where do you read about there's a David to come? For anybody that was great, where do you read before they would come? So in other words, when they come on the scene, that's when you start hearing about the agreements and the covenants going forward. But again, as I said, we'll have to go over some things in the future dealing with how this works. Moses is a great man. Prior to Moses, where do you read about Moses is coming?
You don't.
It's the law of Moses. Even the law of Moses, who's Moses? Well, he wasn't born yet. They didn't write about him. They didn't prophesy. There's a thus saith Moses that's going to be this, or even King Cyrus, right? He's called Mashiach according to Isaiah. Where does it say that there's a Mashiach Cyrus coming to be the Mashiach? You see what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's really, there's a lot of stuff that's really messed up that needs to be fixed, and we'll try our best to take a stab at it. But just to kind of share some things and then go over some things that were written before Matthew through Revelation comes on the scene, just to show you.
But wasn't the Mashiach with the Father at the beginning?
Right. So, right. We're not saying that it's not true. What I'm saying is when he comes in the flesh, the question comes is, where does it write his name? You can't find his name prior to him coming on the scene.
Right.
Right. So in other words, do we believe that his name was Yahushua before Matthew through Revelations, for an example?
No.
Right. So, and there were other great people that shared the same name he has. Right. Joshua being one, and he had the one in Zechariah. They have this thing, that name becomes a common name, and then when he comes on the scene, he takes on a same common name. So that must mean the name that he had, that he has in the flesh, that name was not prophesied that this is the name that he's coming in, so to speak. But we can go over patterns and things like that another time.
Okay, Toda.
No problem. All right, anyone else? Okay, Aki had something? Gilbert? You got to unmute your mic. Oh, you gotta go to the Apple store and get an apple. Okay, all right, no problem. All right. We got you.
Real quick, I wanted to kind of give an example of faith and works. We've seen Israel coming out of Mitzrayim. So they did the Pesach, they did those books. Pesach again, as they was walking through the wilderness. But at the end, he said they weren't able to go into the land because they lacked faith. But they did some works. but because of their lack of faith in the
Mhm.
Father, they won't able to enter into the.
Mhm.
So we got to be careful of that. Some of us, we're all about the works, trying to keep the law, statutes, commandments, but do we really have the true faith, belief in the Father, and trusting Him?
Oh yeah.
Take us through.
Yeah, see, everything's patterned off of something physical, something spiritual, right? Circumcision of the flesh, circumcision of the heart. That's in the Torah, right? You got your fruits and things like that, your harvesting and everything that you read about physical harvesting, physical fruits. And then you hear about spiritual fruits and spiritual seeds. And so there's always a natural and a spiritual. And that's why Yeshua is always talking about if you can't understand earthly things, how can you understand heavenly things? Because the earthly things is giving you some clues as to understanding why he made. In other words, Father didn't make nothing for no reason. Everything has a reason. When we realize that, then we can start to see, well, what is it that you want me to get out of this harvest? Am I going to be a harvest? What do you want me to learn out of this seed? What do you mean don't mix seed? Are you telling me that, Father, your word is a seed and you don't want it mixed with other nations or other beliefs? Okay, I'm starting to see you don't want these things happening. And we start to grow from there. But these are all fundamental principles that we should already have. All right, that's it. Okay, well, hallelujah. Then we'll stand and close. And if the brother has something, we can type it out if he can't hear us. All right, so we're standing and then close. We have Sharat. You don't mind closing us out? If you need that microphone.
I'm going to hear you.
Baruch atah Yahuah Eloheinu melech haolam. Father, we thank you for the word today. We give you all esteem, honor, and praise. We thank you for another Shabbat. We thank you for our fellowship. We thank you for everything that happens in this day because you ordained it. And we just lift you up on high. We ask, Father, that you hide that word in our hearts, minds, and souls. Help us to walk it. Help us to be it. Help us to meditate on it. Help us to speak it. We just thank you for the speaker today, Father. We ask that you bless him and his household. We also ask, Father, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, that you bless the food we're about to receive. Bless the hands to prepare it, the funds to guard it, and let it be nourishing in our bodies. And we give you all esteem, honor, and praise in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, and we count it all done. Amen.
Tables, we'll do one, this one, and everything else wrong. We're going to sit. We're going to take.
Pray together. Shoot it.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Sit on both sides. Just keep one that way, and then everything else goes long way. See, and we'll just sit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How many is going to be there at the top?